His name was Micah James, 15, skinny, quiet. Not because he had nothing to say, but because no one ever listened. He sat in the back row, always, by choice, by design. Headphones tucked in his hoodie sleeve, one earbud in, the other just in. Casey had to pretend he was paying attention, straight A's on paper, but in class, invisible. His teachers didn't call on him, didn't expect anything from him, especially not her, Mrs. Brighton, 42, tenured. Wore red lipstick like armor. She ran her classroom like a courtroom. Sharp tongue, colder heart, and she had favorites, star kids, debate team darlings, front row, followers. Micah was not one of them. Participation is 30% of your grade, she'd say, but never called on him, never let him speak. He raised his hand once. Freshman year, week 2. She looked at him like he was a smudge on the board, sighed, rolled her eyes. Called on someone else. That was the day he decided, if they don't want to hear me, I'll make sure they remember me. He came to school every day, punctual, prepared, carried a spiral notebook filled with thoughts no one ever asked him to share. His desk was his fortress. He listened, watched, saw which students were praised for mediocre answers, saw how questions got easier for kids with privilege, how wrong answers got laughed off when they came from the right mouths. Micah took note of every injustice, every crooked smile, every time Mrs. Brighton said, "Some students just aren't made for critical thinking." He wrote it all down, not out of bitterness, out of preparation, because he was building something, a plan. Mrs. Brighton liked public humiliation, called it constructive correction. One day she read Micah's essay aloud, without permission, mocked it word for word. "Big words for someone who barely speaks in class," she said. The room laughed. Micah didn't. He stared at her, not with anger, but calculation. He walked out that day, straight to the principal's office, didn't complain, didn't yell, just asked, "Can I start a club?" "What kind of club?" "Debate." The principal blinked. "Do you have a sponsor?" Micah slid a list across the desk. Teachers who respected him, even if they didn't fully understand him. "I'll find one. Just need a room." By the end of the week, room 104 had a new sign. Debate. Society 4 kids joined, then 10, then 20. They weren't the top of the class. They were the overlooked, the dismissed, the misjudged. Micah led them, taught them logic, fallacies, delivery. Every meeting, he came alive. He wasn't the silent kid in the back anymore. He was a general, training an army, and he had a target. The annual in-class debate championship, where Mrs. Brighton handpicked the teams, where every year the same students won, because every year the rules were rigged, but not this year, because this year, Micah found a loophole in the school charter. Any student-led club with certified faculty sponsorship may submit a team for academic competitions. He submitted the Debate Society under his name. Mrs. Brighton laughed when she saw it. "Micah James, you want to debate?" He smiled. "Just once. Just enough." "No, ma'am. I want to win." Please subscribe and like. The week of the debate championship, whispers followed Micah like shadows. Is he serious? He's not even on the honor roll. Does he even talk? Micah heard it all. But he wasn't focused on noise. He was building silence into thunder. He trained his team like fighters, mock debates, timer drills, point counters. He taught them to look past fear, past laughter, control the room, he said. Don't yell, don't stutter, don't blink. They studied policy topics, ethics, economics, environmental justice. Mrs. Brighton's star students were ready, dressed in matching suits, smirks like trophies. They expected another easy win, expected to humiliate, but they didn't expect Micah. When he stepped on that stage, the room hushed. He wasn't tall, wasn't loud, but when he spoke, his words didn't land. They pierced, Intelligence isn't who talks the most, he said. It's who listens longest before they speak. Gasps. Then silence. He dismantled arguments like puzzles, exposed logical fallacies, tied real-world events to policy breakdowns. His team followed his rhythm. Every speaker brought fire, brought facts, brought soul. By the final round, the judges leaned in. The audience stopped whispering. Even Mrs. Brighton looked nervous. The final question was about justice in education. Micah walked to the podium, took a breath, then said, "Justice isn't just a policy. It's a seat at the table, and for too long, some of us have been left in the hallway." He looked right at Mrs. Brighton. But today, we walked in anyway. The room erupted. Teachers clapped. Students stood. Some chanted his name, "Micah, Micah, Micah." Mrs. Brighton. She didn't clap, didn't blink, but her silence spoke louder than any applause. The judges announced the winner. Debate Society, led by Micah James. The class cheered. Micah didn't smile, didn't celebrate. He just nodded once, like a soldier returning home, because victory wasn't the goal. Being heard was. Tell us what you think about Micah. The Monday after the championship, Micah came to school early, not to celebrate, not to gloat, but to breathe. He stood outside room 203, Mrs. Brighton's room. Same red lipstick, same stiff posture, but something about her eyes was different. Tired, embarrassed, exposed. Micah walked in, silent, confident. She didn't speak, just stared. He placed a sealed envelope on her desk, then turned around and left. Didn't look back. Inside that letter, "Dear Mrs. Brighton, I don't hate you. You wanted to teach us discipline, but sometimes your discipline came dressed as dismissal. I'm not writing this for an apology. I'm writing it because I want you to know what silence looks like when it finally breaks. You told the class once that some students just don't have it. What if no one ever told you that you do? Maybe that's why you teach like the world owes you obedience instead of understanding. I'm not here to change you. I just wanted to be seen, not saved. And if my voice made you uncomfortable, good. That's how we grow." Signed, the kid in the back row who was always listening. 3 months later, Micah sat in the library. Same hoodie, same notebook, only now people came to him. Students asked for help with speeches. Teachers recommended his club. Even the principal asked him to speak at the end-of-year assembly. But when he got to the podium, he froze. Not out of fear, out of feeling. He looked out at the crowd, saw the same desks, same faces, but something had changed. Him. He took the mic, no paper, no prep, just truth. "You don't have to be the loudest to be right," he said. "You don't have to sit in the front row to lead. I spent most of my life thinking silence protected me, but now I know silence is a cage, and words." He looked down at his notebook, then looked back up. "Words are keys." Epilogue. The walls talk, now Mrs. Brighton didn't say much after that year, but students noticed she stopped calling out people just to embarrass them. She stopped assuming silence meant stupidity. Sometimes she even called on the back row. And one day, Micah got a letter. No name, just red ink. "You were right, I never listened, but now I do keep speaking." Sometimes the loudest thing in the room is the silence we ignore. Sometimes the strongest person in class is the one we overlook. Micah James wasn't born confident. He built it, one ignored question at a time, one dismissed hand raise at a time, until finally the class turned and saw the quiet kid was never quiet at all. He was waiting for the moment to speak, and when he did, the whole room stood. So let this be a reminder. Don't just hear the loud, listen for the quiet, because the quiet ones, they're watching, they're learning, and when they finally rise, they roar. The end. Thanks for watching.